Today's this very special day. As we go through this journey, literally it's been about 3 years for us. And as we keep learning, I'm finding out that these holidays are so important. There is some great blessings that come with observing these holidays. I was talking to somebody yesterday about Shavuot, and I was explaining, because they asked me, well, actually it was during Shabbat, it was Shavuot night. Somebody was asking me, what is Shavuot? And I was explaining to him, but I hadn't realized what the significance of Shavuot to this whole world. I kind of explained to him that, we're celebrating the giving of the Torah. I told him, everywhere, right, this weekend, the Jewish people are going to be celebrating the giving, the Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah. And then I caught myself and I said, and you know what? Every Christian and every Muslim and every person in this world should be doing the same thing right now. And not only because, because the Torah is the basis, for the major religions and just about every religion, whether they know it or not, and just the Torah is for everybody. The Jewish people have been in charge of preserving it and taking care of it, and preaching teaching it, but it's for everybody. So I was thinking, man, it kind of hit me that there's not a lot of people celebrating it. I mean, you think of what we're doing now, and if you can picture Google Maps and going up, from this place and seeing any shul, any Torah place, and plotting it here in this area, whether Kingwood, in Humble, maybe the shul, the Reform shul that is here with Rabbi Dan. And there's just a handful of us that are literally, celebrating something that the whole world should be celebrating. Which, it didn't hit me till I tried to explain it to somebody what it really was. So I consider myself very honored to have Hashem, be one of those people to be celebrating the Torah right now. So it's an awesome time for us. Each and everyone should hear, and listening online should be privileged to be able to celebrate the Torah and celebrate the birthday of the Torah, because that's what it is. We're celebrating it, and I'm going to get into a lot of other awesome things, but. Does anybody know how old the Torah is, the written Torah? We know what year is this in the Jewish calendar? 75, right? So we know that there's been people, the Jewish people, that have been tasked to take care of the Torah. I mean, we know that from creation it's been that long. So if we know that from creation it's been that long, we actually know how long when the Torah was given to us. Any guesses? 2000? Somebody said 2000? 37, 35. Going once, going twice. But it's
Adam, no Torah?
Yeah, Adam knew Torah, but I'm talking about the written. I'm talking about written. Yeah, right. So it actually it's 3,327 years. Right. I did the math. No, this is well known. I didn't come up with this number. So 33 centuries we've been studying Torah. We've been the sages have been, and other people have been trying to decipher it, trying to uncode it. Okay. Trying to figure out, Torah has to offer. So you think about airplanes. You know, we literally went from carriage and buggies to the modern airplane age in what, 100 years? And we've been studying Torah for 33 centuries, and haven't been able to decipher it. And that's pretty awesome. I mean, pretty deep. You know, a book, you know, this thick, or maybe less. If you think of what it would take to do an airplane, it would be volumes and volumes of information. You know, make an airplane and the physics in it, and the aerodynamics, and the upper and lower, you know, air pressures, and all this stuff. It would take volumes. But yet we have the Torah, which is literally in 5 books, and you know, size of a small book. Now, what have we gotten out of the Torah for the last 33 centuries? You know, anybody? We've gotten 613 mitzvot. Anything else? You know, 248 do's and how many don'ts? I mean, not to do? 365? 248 and 365. You know, we know that there's some Jewish Orthodox rabbis that will spend their whole lives, literally, studying the precepts, the principles, and the 613, the mitzvot. But, you know, we can ask ourselves, well, you know, what else is there? But, you know, we look at the Zohar, and then Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai tells us that we should not just study the literal interpretation of the Torah, because each word, each phrase hides great wisdom. How many of you guys know that? Right? It's if you can imagine a barcode, you know, you can look at a barcode and you can take it at face value, and it wouldn't mean much to us, except that there's, you know, underneath the barcode there's usually some numbers and stuff, and you can take it, you know, well, it's, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, but if you were to scan it with the scanner, with a tool, you know, that is tied to a computer, you can probably get volumes of information from a barcode on a particular product. So Shimon Bar Yochai tells us not to underestimate the profound depths that are hidden in the stories of Torah. You know, we hear that, you know, yeah, they're wonderful stories, but there is so much hidden underneath them. So studying at the superficial level would be a grave error, though it's an awesome thing to know it. But, you know, there's always 2 levels. You know, it's kind of like looking at somebody for their physical traits and not knowing what's inside. And, you know, sometimes, well, most of the times, what's inside is actually what counts. So you can look at a person, you know, we're made out of a body and a soul. And the Torah, it's basically the same way. It's got a body and a soul. What else do we know about the Torah? It is said by our sages that God created the world basing it on the plans of Torah. That's amazing. It's like, wait a minute, how can you comprehend it? Wait a minute, you know, he did the Torah, but he based the creation on Torah. You know, how can you fathom that? So what does this tell us about Torah? It tells us that Torah is an instrument of creation. Can we believe that? How many of you guys believe that Torah is an instrument of creation? Right? And it's like, well, how? All right. So now let's see what else we discovered in the 33 centuries. That's amazing. 33 centuries of Torah. We know from our sages and from the Zohar that it encompasses science, all levels of sciences. Somebody spit out some levels of science or some, I don't know, some different sections or departments of, you know, science. Physics, chemistry, biology. What else? Yeah, right? geology, all the ologies, right? Astrophysics, astronomy, what's that? Cosmology, yeah, the cosmos, metaphysics. You talk about medicine. You talk about chemicals. I was talking to Richard about some of the chemical process that we do at work, and it's just amazing what the way things are come together. It's just at the atomic level, at the I went blank. What do you call it at the real microscopic level? Quantum physics, quantum molecular. We talked about catalysts and what catalysts do. It's just an amazing thing, and you can literally go back and it's it's creation. You're creating things with math, with medicine, with all these chemicals that we with physics. So all that can be tied back and be can be extrapolated from the Torah, which is an amazing thing. So what else? Is it just physics that we learn about in the Torah? No, it's the most important thing. God reveals the divine thinking, His divine thinking, the way He thinks, and what He desires. So what does God desire? Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. He before the giving of the actual Torah, what did he desire? I mean, was he just looking for some people, just any people, to give him the Torah? To share, exactly. That's one thing, exactly, share. But he was also desiring a sanctified people in order for him to give them the Torah. And then who do he sanctify? Who do he want? Israel. So do you? I'm kind of thinking and putting it into different into today's. Do you go to a stranger and just give them an awesome gift, from the bottom of your heart, and that? No, you want somebody that you want somebody that would, say, a car, for instance. You would give a car, or you would give, if you loved somebody, you would give them a car, but you would also know that they would take care of it, and they wouldn't, go out and mistreat the car or whatever it is. I don't know if that was a good example, but so he wanted to prepare us in order for he could give us this great gift, this great tool, which is called Torah. And that's what he desired to in his people. We look at what happened at Mount Sinai. We look at what happened with the golden calf. And it talks about that. If the Erev Rav wouldn't have done the golden calf, then we may have had redemption. So just so.
Bring them under one umbrella, under one set of rules.
Right, but I mean, what he desired was to as far as the Torah, I mean, to give it to somebody deserving. But yeah. I mean, because somebody mentioned about Adam, that Adam knew Torah. Yes, he did. Yeah, definitely. Torah, the oral Torah has been, from way back then. How do we know? How did Cain and Abel know how to do the sacrifices? We've talked about this before. So it's been there this whole time. So the oral Torah is very important, and you can't have one without the other. You can't have the Torah, the written, without the oral. Just like you can't have the mystic side, the soul side of the Torah without having the Torah, because if it's basically turns into what the Egyptians had when they were doing their magic. They can do great miracles and stuff, but they were doing it without, with the whole different, what they call Elohim rather than the Yod He Vav He, which is basically what You look at a lot of the. I think Rod touched this. I don't know if it was the last time about the miracles is not the only way of telling if somebody's from God or something like that, because there's people out there that can do miracles that can that, but they use this portion that is not related to Torah. So you there's a lot of talk about Kabbalah, and you can't have Kabbalah without the Torah. You can't have Kabbalah without that 613 mitzvot. You can't have any of this of the mystic part without having the Torah, which is very, very important. So let's think of 33 centuries of Torah. And let me ask this question. Do you think, and just kind of keep an open mind, I know there's a lot of things about redemption that I'm kind of putting to the side, but do you think if God would let us live another 33 centuries, we could decipher the Torah with the consciousness that we have now? No, right? We talk about measuring consciousness, and we talk about measuring IQ. What's I don't know, what's Einstein? What's his highest IQ? What's 160? So what's average? 120? No. What's 105? Oh man, I was giving you guys too much credit. No. Moshe's pointed at me. All right. Yeah, that was a joke. That was a joke for you guys. Right. So we think of of Einstein, the consciousness that he had at that level. So even if we were given 33 more centuries with that consciousness, we couldn't, we couldn't do it. So let me ask you, what is, okay, so I got that. So we talked about Einstein, 160. I had him at 180 for some reason. Right. So the sages and the mystics, the Torah mystics talk about that we need a consciousness of, or an IQ of 2,000. And so that's to literally get to the level of trying to solve all the mysteries that the Torah gives us. And so we fall very, very short. But what happens in today? What happened, between yesterday and today in Shavuot, which is the birthday of the Torah? It's something really important, and I can't stress, and I usually stress. My wife knows a lot of stuff that I stress about, and I even to my brothers, I talk to them somewhat, but it's so important. The holidays are so important. We have no idea, and like, we talked about, we think about Pesach, we think about, Yom Kippur, we think of, all these holidays, and we think of what today is, Shavuot, and it's just an amazing thing because there is, so much understanding that comes down today, and it came down yesterday. So let's talk about that a little bit. About the understanding that comes on today, on the holiday of the giving of the Torah. And how do we connect with that? How do we connect with the understanding, with the energy that comes down, I guess, how do you say when you get on the internet, plug in, or how do you go online, kind of, sort of? Because there's a way of doing it. Because I know Rod talked about this just recently. About there's no doubt about it that there's energy. I mean, there's no doubt about there is energy coming out of the plugs here. You can't see it. There's no doubt about it that there's your cell phones are all have a certain frequency of of an airwave, and it rings. There's no doubt about it. It's all around us. But how do you connect to it? I mean, a cell phone, you connect through these waves through a cell phone, you know. But how do you connect to this energy that is around us at this time, at this holiday? And how do we plug in? Here at the NETIV Center, we have code to get into the Wi-Fi, and it's kind of hard sometimes. And I know I've tried to do it, and I got frustrated. And somebody asked me, "What's the code?" I said, "I don't know. Talk to Rod," because it's hard to get connected. But imagine trying to get connected, to the knowledge and the wisdom that is coming down from heaven right now, the energy that at this anniversary, the 3,327th anniversary of the giving of the Torah. So how do you do that? And I'm going to get to that here in a little bit. But how do we know that it takes the IQ of 2,000? Who was I talking to? About Adam and the ability. We talked about Adam knowing Torah also back then, and the ability for him to go into different dimensions. Gan Eden, it's not here in the physical world. It's a whole different dimension, and the ability for him to go in and out of this world and of the other dimension, and to the ability to go down into the depths of the ocean and name the fish, name constellations, name all these things. You can see how the sages and the Zohar talks about he had the consciousness to decipher, to know, the secrets of Torah. Kind of went ahead of myself. So let's talk about a subject that Rod and I were just talking about. Pretty interesting subject. We talked about, and it's a subject that that is very important to the study of, about having humility, and about you being holy, and about taking it to a different level. We talk about does anybody know? And this is a kind of trick question. What the man's greatest strength? When does he feel that he's got the greatest strength, man or woman? No, just at what under what circumstances, under what act? Well, the reproductive during the reproductive stage, when literally there is so much energy there. Somebody once said that that is the thing that takes us further, makes us further from God than anything else. But then I've also heard a great sage talk about that is the thing that could put you the closest to God, which is an amazing thing. We talk about God created everything in this world, everything good, and we talk about, and you could even say, you talk about, wait a minute, there's murder, there's lying, there's cheating, there's so many other things. Anybody else can name anything else that but everything's good. Everything, God created everything good in His Torah. So, how do you explain, murder? ISIS, right? But man has corrupted that, right? How would you eat a kosher animal without having to slit its throat kosherly? I mean, that's not murder, but that's a way of, taking life, separating the soul from the body, So God meant it for good. But what have we done? What have ISIS done? They have taken that and taken it to a whole different level. What is, we talk about lying. I mean, is lying good? You know, how can lying be good? But if God created everything, it's got to be good. Any thoughts on that? To save a life, to bring people together. What happens when a couple's arguing or something, and you want to be a mediator and say, you know what, she really didn't mean that. You know, to, she really didn't mean that. You know, or he really didn't mean that. You know, he was just mad or whatever. You know, you bring people together. You know, you're saving a life. But what has man done, or what have we done? So anyway, and there's a lot of examples of other things that we think that are bad. But so to begin back to the subject, so we think that a lot of we talk about the conjugal act as being, a lot of people think that it's bad, and in the wrong context, yes, it's bad, but it is something good that God has created. So let's talk about libido, and I'm getting kind of try to follow me. I'm going to get to something, but libido. What does libido mean? Anybody know? Is the desire, right? The desire, it's not the drive, the attraction. It's not the actual act, but so the libido is a very strong energy that we have to channel the energy as to the heart, creating a tremendous passion applied to the understanding of Torah's secrets. There's a rabbi that I listen to, and he once said that most of the people, the majority of the people here, not here, but just here in this world, have no idea what love is. And of course, we understand it, the best we can, and we try to, make sense of it. But he said, that love is a gift from God. And the only way you would understand it is having a love relationship with Hashem that allows you to experience that love. And it's the love that He lets you experience that love. And then once you experience that love, then you know what love is. And then but until you get to that level of having a love relationship with Hashem, which not a lot of people here on earth have, then you would understand what love is. So he talks about that love is a gift from God, and you only understand that until you have the love relationship with Hashem. But anyway, that's getting a little bit off the subject, but so we can harness this energy of the libido, which is used in reproducing and to create emotions necessary to decipher the secrets of Torah as we access the day of Shavuot, to these levels of consciousness necessary to understand the Torah, which we can do at this time at the night of Shavuot. So what do I mean to have this attraction? Because it could be misconstrued, but I guess one example would be of a young man at a dinner party or. And he sees this most beautiful woman that comes in, and there's an attraction there. There's a physical attraction that he's got to meet her because he's so intrigued with her, and he's just wanting to speak to her, and later on he speaks to her, and later on he gets to meet her, and he's just intrigued with her. And all he wants to do is talk to her and figure out what she's all about. And then so he does that. And then as he gets to know her even more, he wants to more and more to know more of her. And he may even ask her to get married. And he wants to unveil her secrets. He wants to undress her. He wants to literally be as close or know as much of her as possible. And that's the attraction that we have to have to Torah. Literally, we have to have that libido, the attraction, to know her just this want more of her. Every time you open it, every time you open the Torah, you want more and more of Torah. The mysteries just intrigue you, and you want to know what these mysteries are, and you want to read her, and you want to every night you want to talk to her and see if what more can she tell you about herself. So you do more and more of this, and this is the libido that I'm talking about, the attraction, the what did you guys say, the desire for Torah, and this is what I'm talking about. That desire that comes with libido. So I was talking to my brother Sal today, and this morning, and it's not brother Sal, but he's my actual brother Sal. So and he was telling me that Miss Betty invited them for a Shavuot reading of the Ten Commandments and stuff. So what else do we do? Like on Shavuot morning, we read the Ten Commandments. What else we do? And what else? There's right, and there's also the reading of the Ketubah. You read the Ketubah. Why would you read the Ketubah? What is a Ketubah?
Marriage covenant.
Right, marriage contract, marriage covenant. So why would you do that? But if you understand what we were just talking about the attraction, the libido, I mean, it's a marriage covenant, between who? Hashem and who? And us, exactly. So, you read the marriage contract on Shavuot because of the marriage contract between ourself and Hashem. So it's a great act of love, of course, being married to Hashem. All right, in the most profound books of Kabbalah, it is written that the angel of death appears to remove a soul of a body. And the soul doesn't want to come out. You guys ever hear about that? That even the angel of death has a hard time sometimes taking the soul out of a body because the body wants to hold on to the soul so hard. I mean, literally, he has to call on Hashem to come help him. So what does Hashem do? He approaches the soul when the soul sees, and then he approaches the soul, and then when the soul sees the Creator, what do you think the soul does when it sees the Creator? Right? It literally just wants to be with Hashem. Right? So this is what I'm talking about, the attraction to Torah, that literally the attraction to Torah should be like the appearance of Hashem, where he would just, our attraction to Hashem, our soul would just automatically go to it. So the body cannot contain the soul, and the soul is sucked out. This is the force of the libido that we are talking about for the connection of Shavuot. When somebody gets married, what's customary? To have a gift, right? Okay. Now, when and for us, as us being the bride, we give a gift to the bridegroom. What kind of gift can we give? Hashem. It's kind of intriguing. What do we give God? What's that? Your time. Yeah, we can give him so many things, but what we're going to speak about is we're going to speak about him all night, about his greatness. Tonight we're going to be talking about Torah and Torah secrets. During the night, we're going to explore our souls all night. And we're going to observe mitzvahs, all night also. and this is the present that we can give Hashem. And it, you said it, we're giving him the time. What is another thing that we can give Hashem? Another present. And we can go on and on and on. But I can let me tell you what I've got here. What are we giving up tonight? I mean, we're supposed to study Torah all night. What are we giving up? Becky said time, but what comes with that time that we're giving up? Sleep. Who said sleep? Yeah, Jason. Right, sleep. So we know what Jason's thinking about. Yeah. So we're giving up sleep, right? And if you're like us, I mean, we wake up very early in the morning, though we don't have to do that tomorrow because tomorrow's an American holiday. But we're giving up sleep, and to a lot of us, I mean, it's a great sacrifice to stay up, past 8 o'clock, Moshe. Oh, I just woke him up. Sorry, just kidding. Just kidding. All right. So we're giving up sleep. All right, and that's a big sacrifice for a lot of us. And what happens at night? For those mystics out here that are here today, what happens at night during the darkness? Anybody know? What's that? Right. On Shavuot there is a download, but there's also forces. If you read the Way of God and how the Ramchal talks about how literally, darkness, literally the dark forces are released during the night. Anybody remember that in the Way of God, the Rech Hashem? No? Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so there's dark forces that are released during the night. So what do we do today? When we're going to go to sleep, we basically, these dark forces come out, and we tell Hashem, take care of our soul, while we sleep, and as we know from our sages, that our soul literally, comes out, and it transcends dimensions. It goes to these different places. If you can imagine your soul like a chain link fence, not a chain link fence, but just a chain, different chains, where these chains just kind of come apart and they go to different places. You're only left with the bottom link, which is with what? With the bottom, the lower soul. What is that? The nefesh. So you're literally left with the nefesh. What is a person that is in a coma? What's keeping him alive? The nefesh, because the other parts of the soul are gone. And then once, if he does recover, then those things are sucked back into him. So we're left. We ask God to take care of us during the night and to return our souls in the morning. And then the darkness, the dark forces are let out. So what we try to do here on Shavuot in the study of Torah at night is to do the reverse of any other typical night, and which is bring light into darkness by doing the study of Torah. And how do we do that? We study, like I said, we study Torah all night. We make night into day. At the level of the unspiritual, if we can do that, that is the present that we can give God. Here's another situation where, we talk about everything being good, and it's so called that we say that God created good and bad, right? But why is bad really bad? God created. I think somebody talked about that earlier about different trials or different things that happen to us in our lives. We get that bad, and we're supposed to turn it into good. We Moses, the receiver of the Torah, he there was so many things that he went through. He was a murderer. He murdered somebody. He did so many things. And there's a story that talks about that when when the giving of the Torah, I think this is in the Midrash, I forget where I read it, but when the giving of the Torah was about to happen, and there was an elderly man that was that brought Moses to him, and the man said, "This is the guy that's gonna, take us, to get the Torah." And this guy's a murder. If you know the mystics, there's a way to look at a person's face and literally read where they've been and what they've done. And this man said, this guy is a murderer, a thief, a liar. How is he going to bring us? How is he has the merit of getting the Torah? But of course Moses said, yes, that's what I used to be, but I made the bad into good. I made what was put into my life as bad, and I literally made it into good. So the bad is not really bad. I mean, the bad is made for us to make us into good. It's hard to understand that when you're going through the fire or through the hurricane or whatever you want to call it. But in the end, it's for refinement. What is his body for? His body's for a tool of refinement. Anyway, all right. So let's talk about. Okay, so we were talking about making darkness into light. We were talking about doing the reverse of what is typical of every night. Bringing dark forces even into light, and then all right. Let's talk about the counting of the Omer. We all know about the counting of the Omer, right? What does that really mean? I be honest with you, I didn't know much about it until I started the holidays started coming in. How many days is it? 49. What is the significance of 49? 7 weeks. 7 times 7, 49, right? So we talk about the counting of the Omer. During the 49 days, we have a mission. The 49 days of the counting of the Omer. We have this mission. The mission is to transform the physical, which is that is literally thick. The physical is so thick that it brings a veil between ourselves and Hashem. So, why did it take 7 weeks from the time of the Exodus from Egypt for Hashem to give the Torah to the Israelites? Couldn't he have done it right at the beginning? But there's some refinement that goes in those 49 days. This is Leslie here? No. This material is called the Homer. The Homer. See, with the het. You guys know about it, right? We have to transform it into a translucent veil. Okay? The word Homer, when we've done there's a Homer and there's an Omer. I wish that Leslie was here because she could literally she could help me with this. But I'm going to try to power through it. I was hoping that she was here. She could help me. But to get into the day of Shavuot, the Omar with an aleph, which means in word, when we have transformed the material into the word, we have passed from the Homer via the Omer to do the Omar. We have passed from I got some notes. If it's not clear, I can clear it up. Okay, we have passed from the material Homer via the Omer, which is the 49 days of counting, where we will get the Omar, which means word. In other words, we went from this thick materialism into the Omer, which literally means word, which clarified or made that veil or that blockage translucent where we could receive the word, which is the Torah.